Hey, Tom here, FlipAnything USA. Hey, today I want to just talk a little bit about, recession, what's going to break first, what you can anticipate falling apart, and how you might be affected. And, I can tell you right now, the wealthiest people are not so affected. Everything takes a little time to trickle down and affect you. And a lot of people kind of go into denial, thinking that it's going to happen. We looked at it last week. We saw foreclosures way up, or repossessions on cars way up. These things are all part of it. And also I want to talk about, job creation. Right now the government do anything to convince you that things are good so they can pass another big fat spending bill. And that is probably going to happen for sure. But about the jobs, let's talk about the jobs that are coming back. Consider a lot of the jobs that they just, they said, I think 500,000 new jobs. Well, 20% of them are IRS agents. Those cost us money. Those are taxpayers just paying for more employees. And what are they going to do? They're going to look for money from me and you. So that doesn't bode well, right? Then the other thing is, the stimulus in these things has dried up recently. And so all that stimulus, guess what? People are going back. Remember, everybody knows, we all know, there's been jobs everywhere that people have not been filling. And a lot of us been scratching our head. Well, how are these guys making a living? Why is every fast food place, every restaurant practically says hiring wait staff, they're hiring managers, they're hiring engineers. They're in need of people, and the people have not been showing up for work. And so they seem to have found an alternate point of income. Well, a lot of the stimulus stuff has finally dried up, and that's a good thing. But a lot of these jobs that are coming back are just simply people going back to work. They're deciding to go back to work, to the jobs that were there. It's not a net gain. It really doesn't mean much. And then the other thing is, there's so many people that really, when it comes to the jobs that we'll be losing next, you're going to see it in construction. I've got a lot of people in the building industry. All they're doing is finishing up the projects that they have and trying to get them sold. And they're starting to cut deals, and we're going to talk about it.
It's the best thing I ever did.
So, one of the things I love to do is I love commercial property. I own a lot of real estate. I've got about 165,000 square feet. Hopefully that's going to be 200,000 square feet here pretty soon. I've got something on the line. Hey, Chris, glad you're in here. I've got quite a few. Chris even says here, Chris is actually in the mentorship. If you're not aware, first time here, listen, I have a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It's been a bestseller on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. Also, I have a mentorship. You can go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. I'll give you a quick peek. And come take a look at this. Especially, you're 30, 40 years old. If you're not already a wealthy person, or if you don't have a couple million or a million at 30 or 40, then really consider the mentorship. Fantastic opportunities come up. And, I'm not looking for people that don't have money. I'm looking for people that can afford to take the mentorship, but also can afford to do something with it. If you haven't been a little bit successful in your life by the time you're 30, 40 years old, you've been doing something wrong. And but even there's plenty of you out there that I'm looking for that you are successful, you are smart, but even though looking at the success that you have, it's not enough. Those are the guys that really flourish very, very well. You can take a look at my mentorship here. These people here, Ken, I've got another one, Steve, all these people in here. You can see all these terrific stories, guys that are millionaires from real estate since being in the mentorship. Anyhow, it's a fantastic thing. But anyhow, let's get back on subject here. So I've been looking at properties. One of the things I love is I love commercial, industrial, retail. LoopNet is a resource for finding those kinds of properties, and it's one that I look at often. And so I'm going to go in here and let's just hit industrial. And let's do retail, and that's okay. And what else? Let's hit one more. Industrial. Restaurants aren't bad. I'm not opposed to restaurants right now. You guys know that ghost kitchens have been taking off. A lot of you probably noticed that, since the office is coming back a little bit too, but again, jobs going away, maybe a little scary. But I'll just leave it to those right now because those are basically my favorite. Like in here, in this area, we'll go ahead and get Plano in here. This is in the Dallas area. Plano's also a nice suburb out there. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go ahead and draw a little area here that I like. Just kind of this corridor here. Let me take a little bit of this part. And I'll even grab Garland. So again, I've seen people that are just way too proud of their properties. And they're gonna start getting it. And you can see that the values over here in this column here, you see the price, see the square foot. So, if you're halfway decent at math, you can quickly calculate, this is roughly $100 a foot or $200 a foot. And then also if they do it right, and I don't appreciate it when they don't, but like here, this is really what you're looking for. 5% cap. You want to see what the cap rate is, right? I think you guys can see that. Yeah, you can't see it. Let me make it so you can. Over here. 5% cap rate. That just kind of shortcuts you to, this is a shit deal. No, thank you. 5% cap. No, thanks. Now, here's 6 1/4. Now, 6 1/4, we'll take a look at that. That might make sense. And let's just see what the offering is. Here, going to one of my other accounts. And let's just see what they're offering here. So that was 97. Let's see. Look at this is 9,700 square feet, but 4.3 million. No way. You're talking basically $400 a foot, a little more than $400 a foot. Now that stuff like that makes me nervous because I just don't know how long it would last and what I'd ever be able to replace it with. And one of the things you got to be aware of is that a lot of times you'll see listings like that, and I'm certainly not saying that's the case with this property, but you'll see where, in fact, Chris, who's watching right now, he said, hey, how can this be a 24 cap? And basically it was a property where the owner was willing to rent back the property. In other words, he's selling you his property. He's going to give you so much rent that you're going to make a 25% return on your money. It smells, okay? It stinks. Don't buy it. Don't believe it. Again, this can be part of the desperation of what comes around in times like this. The guys say, I got to get out of this. I'll just go ahead and sign a lease to buy it back. I'll get my $4 million, and then my company may be able to go out of business in 6 months. And if they got it right, they're going to be untouchable because the business can fold. Your lease is going to be with a corporation that's folded. The money, the property sale, that money went to the guy that owns the property, who's the guy that owns the business, but he kept his entity separate, and he's untouchable. So you got to be careful for stuff like that. Very easy to get burned if you're not careful. And that's why I say you need a mentor. It's a really good idea to have a mentor, folks. But let's look at else. What's going on here? Go back in here. What do you guys think, Liam? What do you think? Hey, he's looking at a Dollar General 6.7 cap. Dollar Generals, they are actually doing quite well. Last time I looked, they were a very strong company. I'll tell you what I'm a little bit worried about. I'm worried about Walgreens and CVS. They have tremendous amount of theft. The cities around the country are making petty theft a misdemeanor. You're not even allowed to arrest somebody that steals $800 worth of shit, depending on what city you're in. That's a recipe for disaster. And I can tell you, I had somebody tell me that a gal that I know, that one of the caretakers for my mother has dementia. She also works at Walgreens. And she said this gal's walking out of the door that they know is a thief, and she's going, I got money, and she's showing her money. And, and she's basically saying, I'm not stealing anything. You can see that because I have money. And we know she's stealing. We know she's stealing. But again, this is just kind of how things are degrading. But these are the businesses that you're talking about, buying a building that has a company in it. Dollar General, by the way, Liam, I think is a strong company. And I believe I was reading about Dollar General, and I think they're also Dollar Tree. I don't want to mix them up. There's a few of them, dollar something, dollar this, that. And, they thrive because they're cheap. They have a lot of inexpensive goods. The people that love those stores, they really love those stores because they get tennis shoes, they get certain deals on things, to clothe their kids and different stuff. Hey, Richard Smith from Australia, glad to see you here, buddy. Matt wrote, can you imagine how oil might go when the strategic petroleum, that's off my subject right now, buddy. Tom, tell it how it is. Learn so much from, thanks, Chris. Yeah, so, but back into this, because this is a good thing to look at. Now, here's another building. Again, $5.5 million for, it's less than 15,000 square feet. I don't see it. $300 a foot? It doesn't make any sense. I have no idea. I have no idea why they would even, I don't even know why it's there. A lot of times you got to remember, sometimes people get into bad investments through funds that are put together by people that don't know what the hell they're doing. I've seen a lot of those on YouTube already. Those guys are trapped. People that got into funds that were like a big fixer-upper fund, they go in, they throw their money at it, they get the property. The fund manager, he's gonna just take 2% a year off it. So you get a $10 million fund, whatever. He's gonna pay himself $200,000 a year, sink or swim, doesn't matter till the money runs out or something goes bust. But the problem is those fixer-upper deals. Now you have the burden of spending millions of dollars in some cases to fix up a property that even if you go to resell it, it's got a higher interest rate on it now. So it costs you, 2 or 3 times as much to fix it up. And when you go to sell it, there's no delta for the person that buys it from you, because even if you raise the cap rate on this thing, you brought it up to where it's capping at 7, and when you bought it, it was 5. Well, 1.5% of that's already been eaten up by the market. In fact, on that, and this is really a good thing for all you guys watching, whether you're in the mentorship or not, always play with an amortization schedule. It's a wonderful tool. And I tell people all the time, you play with those numbers, it'll blow your mind. And not everybody's, savvy with numbers. I remember I bought an apartment complex. I can even show it to you, actually. I'll jump over to it and show it to you in a minute. But it's an apartment complex that we're going back and forth. And this guy was a UT professor, the guy that I bought it from. And he kind of didn't care. But his wife was the one that was driving it. No, I got to have $400,000, And I was offering him $320. And I was getting a great deal at $320. Even $400 was a good deal. And in the end, I agreed to their $400,000, but they financed it for me at 2% interest. And I'd been offering them 5.25% before that, or 5.5%, which was actually a low interest rate at that time. And they took it. And in the end, I made more money than buying it for $400 than I would have at $320. And then I created a fantastic situation for the person I sold it to, which if you're in the class, you know what I'm talking about. So, hey, take a look at this real quick, and I'm going to change the screen and get you something else. It's kind of neat.
Don't stop and listen. Time is on a mission to eliminate all the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car. Bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything. USA, go.
All right, so we're going to change this up. So I'm going to talk about the interest rate. The property that I just described to you that I bought at one time for $400,000. I'm going to show this to you real quick. It's right here. Plaza del Norte. And yep, see it right there? Oh, the L's falling off. Anyways, so look, this is a good working class neighborhood. It's a C property. You know, just people that go to work and grind. In fact, it is interesting too, by the way. This was filled with Vietnamese people. When I first bought it, it was filled with Vietnamese people. And I remember when I was going through the units and looking at the units before I bought this thing, it was just so sparsely furnished. You would go in there and they would have like a TV. I'd see a pair of shoes next to the door, maybe a pillow. Maybe they sat and meditated on. I'm not even sure. But very, very, just very, very lightly furnished. And then next door, and I had already I bought these buildings too, by the way. So next door, I'll give you an idea. I had already bought these buildings for, and did they rename it? Yeah, Galt Street. Actually, they used to be called, I think they were called Anderson Apartments. Now they call them Galt Street Apartments. Anyways, and they did a good job. It looks pretty nice. It looks better than when I owned it. But I bought this property for $10,000 a unit. I sold it for $55,000 a unit. So just on this property alone, I made 45 times 13. So, is that what it was? 45 times? Yeah, probably 450, 500,000. But guess what? Here's the sister property I bought with it right here. This one here was 21 units. Yeah, 21 units and 13 units. Between the two, I made about $1.8 million in a relatively short time. And, and these are the kinds of things that you can do if you know what you're doing and you know how to find deals. And that's one of the things you'll learn about in my book and in my course at FlipAnythingUSA.com. And urge you to get in it. Listen, I don't want your money. I had somebody say, hey, will you finance it? Well, listen, I don't want to finance the course. If you can't afford the course, then you better get your shit together and trying to figure out how to make some money. If you're 30 years old and you can't afford a $2,000 course, get your shit together with the job first, okay? Really. I don't know what to tell you. There's no reason you shouldn't be making decent money. You should have a skill by then. And there may be another, another deficit of a sort that, that if you don't have money, if you don't have a decent job by 30, 40 years old, listen, you better get some skills on that shit. But those of you that actually have done all right and made decent money and already are, maybe you got 60 grand or 100 grand or 400 grand or $5 or $1 million. It's not enough. It's not enough to retire and put your kids through school and all that other sort of stuff. If you have kids, it's not enough to retire very well, period. So those are the people that I'm looking to get in my course, because those are the people that flourish so well that are in my class. People that are already hardworking, they got some skills, they make decent money, and they can just blow it out of the water. They make more money in a year or two than they've made their whole life. Because you can look, you save 100 grand. How long did it take you to save 100 grand? Okay, get in my course, do a couple of deals, make $1 million. You can make 500,000. You make several million. You'll meet the people in the class that have already done it, and I do it regularly. So anyhow, back to the subject. What do you got here? Any questions? Anybody? Listen, I'll answer anybody's question. Any real estate question, I'm happy to answer. If it's something I've done and experienced, I'm happy to share. But again, I forgot how we even got back onto this one. But let's talk about how as things crumble and the things that you see. So, I know where I was going with this. So look, here's in California, sales plunged 21% because of the mortgage, right? The mortgage is everything. And I was saying earlier, play with a amortization schedule. Very important to play with an amortization schedule. Here's new home construction's also way down. The builders are panicking. They're not jumping on it. What are you seeing out there, Russ, Liam? What do you guys see going on in your neighborhoods? And what about you, Chris? You're not far from me, obviously. Curious what you guys see, what you interpret. That's the other thing, by the way. In the class, folks, I got the best and brightest, and everybody. It's just a fantastic brain trust. And let me see what I can find back here. I'll go in here to amortization schedule. Let me think here. So this is really a good drill for those of you that aren't good with numbers or are good with numbers. Let's see, look here. often referred to as a home mortgage calculator. Let's see if I can find one here and we can play with it. Yeah, Jesus. Where the hell is one of these? A lot of times you pull these up and you'll have one just bam in your face. Oh, and look at this. They're looking for if you're in the right neighborhood. Oh, my God. Ugh, this is a bullshit thing. Anyways, so on a mortgage calculator, basically, and you know what? I actually have one inside the class I could show you guys. Maybe that's what I'll do. So look, I'm going to bring you back to a mortgage calculator, but I have to divert you to this to watch this while I do so. Hang on. It's really a perfect storm for making money in that respect. But in 1 year, his portfolio has gone from zero to $1.6 million. What do you got, 30, 22?
Yeah, I think I got 27, yeah.
27 properties. Yeah, 27 properties. John, you have to buy that. That is a great property.
I just closed on 2 houses yesterday. It's worth $250. I bought that one for $170.
My first millionaire student. I don't want to screw around. I don't want to play games going back and forth. What is the absolute bottom dollar? And I'll tell you if I'm going to buy it or not. All right, so take a look here. I'm basically, by the way, this is inside FlipAnything USA, inside the members area, if you will. So take a look at, I've got a number of calculators in here. I've got an interest-only calculator. I've got a deal calculator, and some other things. But these are all custom calculators I had put together. So on a $500,000 loan, you're looking at a $2,700, almost $2,800. Oh, that's just, oh, yeah, $2,700. No, that says 27,000. What the hell? Oh, I put in 5 million. That's why. Okay, there we go. $500,000. Sorry, let me get my glasses on. So this is, and really everybody you do this. Play with a calculator. When I was younger, I just would buy the paperback ones. It would give you a whole range. It's fantastic to play with. It'll make you a much better negotiator, by the way, too. So look, $500,000. If you borrowed that much cash to buy a home at 5.25 interest rate, you got a $2,700 a month payment. So now that's what it is today for 5.25. But what about a year ago when it was 2.65? There, now you can see it. Yeah, it's 2014. It's like $760 less. So let's think about what that does to you. So you could have borrowed $500,000 and had a roughly $2,000 a month payment a year ago. Well, now let's go back to the 5.25 again, because you can't afford that. Let's just say you can only afford $2,000, and now if you you're kicking yourself, because if you'd have bought your $650,000 home and you put $150 down, you borrow the $500, you could have handled the $2,000 a month payment. Well, now you can't, and the banks are going to be tighter on you and more concerned about your livelihood because of the condition of what's going on. So now let's see what you can get. I'm going to start with say probably 380. It's going to be comparable. So there's 380,000. So there you go. So today, it cost you the same to borrow $380,000 as you could have borrowed $500,000. This is how it begins, and this is why things get screwed up. So let's just say you're a builder with a bunch of homes that you had for $650,000, and you were counting on people putting 20% down, putting $150,000 down. They could afford it. They could buy it. The mortgage, they could afford a $2,000 a month mortgage. Well, now guess what? They can't afford it. They can only afford a home with a mortgage of $380,000. So now the builder's faced with, well, what do I do? Do I want to get stuck? Do I want to own a bunch of brand new homes? No. So he's going to lower his price, and the values are going to go down. It's absolutely how it works. There's no get around. There's no workaround. There's no workaround. And you can see, and the builders know it. And believe me, they're sweating it. Now, Liam says, I'm not seeing prices go down at all near me. Now, that can happen too. If you're in a particularly prosperous area where maybe, look, I'm in an area where Tesla's gone in, AMD's expanding, Apple's expanding. I've got all these huge high-tech companies expanding all around me. They're starting to call my area Silicon Hills. Why? Because California's got such ridiculous taxing, and they're driving people out of their country. I mean, out of their state. And where are they going? They're going to the states that don't have state tax. And mine is one of them. They're going to Florida as well. So I have things that are offsetting that. In other words, even though maybe jobs are shrinking to a degree, they're really shrinking in those areas. And the businesses are jumping over here. So we kind of make up for it. We're getting new businesses coming here to offset perhaps the numbers that are going down. And look, you can look at Walmart. You can look at these different companies that their numbers, let's just say some of them are like, oh, they're doing great. Their numbers are the same as last year. Well, it doesn't matter. If their numbers are the same as last year and everything costs 30% more, that means they're moving 30% less merchandise. It just they had to pay more for it. And so what does that mean, though? Okay, well, they're making the same money, Tom. If you want to say it, make that argument. Maybe they are. But they don't need as many people working for them. They're handling 30% less merchandise. They don't need as many people. So how does that translate? Cut them loose. And that's what they begin to do. And Brian just wrote, I just used this calculator today. I can qualify for less now than what it was. Yeah, of course, absolutely. Everybody qualifies for less. I qualify for less. Everybody qualifies for less. The money's gotten more expensive. That's just how it works. So, what else did I have here to look at? So, like I said, you got the new construction cooling. You've got it costs more, to get less, and you're just going to see it get worse. There's no workaround. There's no workaround. And then look at the other thing. I don't know if you know, but the people coming into the country by the droves. Let's just take a look at that. Immigration. There was a big thing about USA. Yeah, so you've got the GOP governors up here. It says, they're trying to spread the. In other words, they're not going to let all the immigrants walk over and stay in Texas. They're not going to let it happen. So they're taking them from there and they're taking them to Washington, D.C. But what they're finding out is they're dropping them off between here and D.C. And so a lot of the immigrants that have walked across the border and look, we got everything. It's not just Mexican folks. It's people from Ecuador, Venezuela. It's Haitians. Basically anybody. The country's kind of going to pot in a big way because if you guys remember back, I don't know, it's been 35, 40 years ago, Cuba basically just flushed their toilet of the worst people in their country, like the worst criminals. They flushed them out of their country and sent them right into America and sent all the people that emptied their prisons into our country. And, don't think that's not happening still. But instead of taking a boat across the water, they just send them into, Mexico. Mexico lets them come in. There's a lot of people that make money on saying, here, we'll get you across the border. And then they take them across the border, and now they're our problem. And believe me, I know teachers in this city, and I don't know if you saw this, there's teachers don't even want their jobs anymore. They don't get paid that much anyways, but they're fed up with it. They can't deal with it. They've got 3-4 nationalities in one classroom, and the kids don't even know letter sounds. And I'm not talking about just English and Spanish. I know about a bilingual teacher. they're just they're they're going out of their minds, and then the parents don't have any more skills than the little kids. In other words, nobody can communicate, and it's putting a tremendous burden on our states because they got to be taken care of. Somebody's got to feed them. Somebody's got to house them. And so think about it. Think about how much more expensive it is for you to live where you live, whether it's an apartment, a house, or anything else. And now you get to pay for somebody else's house, and you get to pay to feed somebody else. And that person is having a very tough time finding a job because they don't speak the language. So that's what we got. It's. I think this is going to be the worst recession we've had, to be quite honest. People say, oh, it's going to be as bad as 2009. I didn't think 2009 was that bad. I mean, I got hurt a little bit, but the interest rate went so far down, it offset a lot of my losses. In other words, the interest rates dropped 3% in 2009. 2008 when the big mess we had bailing out the banks. And the other thing was, what they didn't do is they didn't let the broken up pieces of all of those. They tried to keep people from failing at our expense, right? And the big institutions are the one that got to pick up the pieces and profit from it. But again, the differences between 2008, if you want to call that a recession, and I know it is a recession technically, but 81 was worse. 81 was worse. That's when I started to work. And I remember my dad being out of work. I remember all kinds of hardships around me. I come from modest means. And I can tell you the advantage then was the interest rates were very high and they were dropping. They were cutting the interest rates. Now we're raising the interest rates. Why, and it's just everything gets worse. I mean, it's the biggest recipe for disaster. We're taking in more immigrants into our country to take care of them, and they've never been more expensive to take care of, and it keeps climbing. The costs keep escalating. So Liam wrote, if mortgage rates are so high that builders need to lower their base prices, then maybe they should build or fund. Well, I mean, who can do that, Liam? It's like you can't pull cash out of your ass, though, right? Listen, I've been a builder, and it used to be you go down, you get a construction loan. Construction loan, when I was young, you get a construction loan for 6 months, and because you could actually get a house built and sold in 6 months. Now, shit, you're lucky to get a shovel in the ground after 3 months because all the fucking bureaucracy down at the local city offices. So now they have the 1 year construction loan, and even people seem to be unable to do that now. And so the idea, the bottom line is you want to get it sold before your construction loan. Otherwise, you have to renew your construction loan, new points, and all that stuff. And or you just got to buy it as a finished home. Yeah, Santee, they do it because they get paid to do it. You got to remember, the easiest people to corrupt are the politicians. They're the ones that live like billionaires, make $180,000 a year. Like, look at us, Cheney, thank God she lost her position. Cheney, worth $30 million. Liz Cheney. I think it's Liz. Is it Liz? I don't know. I don't think of her mom. But anyhow, the one that just lost her office, she ran and she just got trounced. Nobody wanted her. And the ones she keeps saying, democracy is fragile. Democracy is fragile. But she doesn't respect democracy when she gets kicked out. But I'm talking about national companies. Yeah, but I know, but Liam, remember the big companies are made up of little guys like us. We're stockholders. They got the same issue. A lot of people, refer to the big companies. They're made up of little guys like us that buy them, that buy stock. So, but yeah, no, I know there's big losses out there for sure. Hey, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like this subject matter, if you're interested and you have a passion for real estate like I do, and a lot of people that follow me, please hit that like button and subscribe. It doesn't take long, and you can always dump me later on. And I try not to get political. I can't stand both parties, to be quite honest. I think they're both scum. Most politicians are scum, so I just try to make it even so nobody feels offended. I'm not attacking one side or another. I think they both stink. Anyways, let's go back to some real estate. What was I going to show you? I think I was going to show you something here too. Oh, I already showed you on LoopNet. So, like, here's a 7-Eleven. Look at this. You guys can't see it. Let me move it over. So here's a 7-Eleven. A 4% cap, 4.1% cap. Look, if you're new to the channel, you don't know what we're talking about when I'm talking about cap rate. We're talking about if you paid cash for this property, you paid cash for it, you could make 4.1% on your money. In other words, you pay cash, you make 4.1% on your money. This one here, you pay $1.1 million for it, you're going to make roughly $60,000 a year on your $1.10 million for this little industrial building. And that doesn't sound bad, but what doesn't jive is 4,000 square feet for an industrial building. I would expect this to rent for $1.20 a foot. Let's take a look at it. It doesn't even look like it has a lot of the qualities I would expect to see. That I would expect to see in an industrial building, to be quite honest. So, like, here's an industrial building. Look, I don't like it, and I'll tell you why I don't like this industrial building. Look at it on the back here. Everything's got to come through the front. In other words, you got no parking, and what parking you do is going to be right in front of the doors, where presumably you're going to take your inventory in or whatever you do and manufacture and mess with. In other words, it's too small of a piece of land. And this is always a good thing to do is grab the address, like you see me do right there, and then, you can jump over to Google Earth and go to do search. And then you jump over, and now we're going to take a look at this property from a satellite view. Okay, just to see if there's something we don't get. Now take a look. There's the same property right there. And now let's go over here and take a look at the listing. Right, there it is. It's almost the same perspective. And now it looks nice inside. This, to me, it doesn't look like it has but 10 feet. See, to the bottom of these trusses, I don't think there's 10 feet. So it's not a great warehouse. Again, it's got some nice roll-up doors. You can see these glass roll-up doors here. But again, the problem is when you have an industrial property, you want a back door. You want to have a spot for goods to come in the back, load up, and if it's more like an assembly line, which is ideal to have this room. You want to take all the shit in the back. You want to have your all the trash pile, your dumpsters, everything behind the building. And this way like this looks pretty good. This looks kind of good over here. But they've got a little access on the side. So see, even a little access like you see on the side for the building next door, that's better than this, because everything goes in and it comes right back out the front door, especially if these are 3 different rentals, or if it's one rental, perhaps you have your incoming, right? And then your outgoing. So everything could come out this door, everything could come out these doors. So it's not a total loss. But it's always much nicer. Let's just get up in the sky a little bit here. Oh, I forget what I'm looking at here. Well, these are built out. Now, see, here's a good example. Employees parking here. Inventory can maybe come in the front and go out the back. You've got your trash cans in the back, but you have access to the back. I used to own a cabinet shop, and of course we'd build everything. Lumber would come in, frame it up, and it would move. It would kind of move like an assembly line. It would move toward the exit door. But anyways, back to the drill here. But again, just on the surface, this property, the pricing alone, to me is a killer. I'll go back here. Because the pricing on it, it's over $200 a foot. It's like $220 a foot. for not a very well laid out industrial building. And again, the cap rate is very low. You can't, listen, right now you can probably borrow money, and I realize you can't see part of that, but I'm talking about this here again. The 4,000 square feet that you see, 4,000 square feet, 100% leased, it brings in, it's $275 a foot. It's worth half that to me. So I don't get it. And this may be another one where it's the owner's renting it back from you. Anyways, any questions here? And then we can wrap up. Yeah, I agree, Liam. 10 foot between the trusses. Liam was talking about inside. I was saying it looks like it's about 10 foot off the bottom of these trusses down to the floor, only gauging by the door. Liam's a carpenter like me. He's looking at he's looking at the height of this and judging this to be maybe 8 foot. Know that there's about 2 feet above it, and but it's a good looking building. You got to remember, folks, this isn't a bad building. I'm not saying this is a bad building. It's a bad price. It's a bad price, and there is no bad real estate. There's just bad deals. You just got to know how to make a good deal, and you'll never get hurt. You make a fortune, and so that's why I urge you guys to come go to Flip Anything USA, check out my mentorship. You guys that are already somewhat successful, but you can do the math on your career. You realize that you're not getting anywhere, even with a good job. You're not going to get where you need to be, and you can get in here. I have a special money back guarantee. That's how confident I am in the people that have taken my class. Everybody makes money. When you walk in the door, you're not like, oh shit, what did I do? Did I make a mistake? No, you came in, you go, oh, thank God. This is home. This is what I need. And that's what people come away with. They come away with a very good feeling. So anyways, I will just say goodbye for now. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. We'll catch you later.